Hey, everybody. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. How's everyone doing? Pat, you got your drink in hand?
I do. It's a big one. Gummy Worms by a local brewer, New Glory. Cheers to them for not giving me free beer, but they should. They
Yeah,
really
what?
should.
That's
They should.
crazy, but cheers to them. I have an announcement to make. I know you all are so used to my Sky vodka, which is now empty. So I'm switching over this week, hoping to get that mad endorsement grifter money. Just kidding. Can I even say it? Anyway, this is my new one. You all know what it is. But anyway, if anybody out there is a rep from them, send all the cases my way. How are you, Pat? How was your weekend?
I'm good. And actually, I've been saving this for one whole day
Come
because
on.
I'm stopping fascism because I voted. I voted to stop fascism.
How hard did you vote?
I voted very hard. I voted very hard for 0 Democrats and 0 Republicans as well. I voted for I didn't.
Wait. If you didn't vote for Democrat, doesn't that mean you voted Republican?
It means I voted for Trump because he wasn't even on the ballot. But
why do you love Trump and Putin so much, Pat?
Yeah. Well, I decided to give my vote. Look, I'm not against ideologically voting for a Democrat if they're a good Democrat, particularly in local races. But as they say, progressive ideas are pretty much dead within the Democratic Party. You have no avenue to getting them passed. So I'm going to vote for anybody outside of the party with a shot or not. And if there's a good Democrat, I'll vote for them. But on my particular ballot in California here, there were 0 good Democrats. So I voted for as many Greens as I could. And then I voted for Peace and Freedom Party. There were a couple Peace and Freedom Party candidates. And where there wasn't an alternative to a Democrat and Republican, I didn't vote.
All right. I think I pretty much did that, except in my District 32. But yeah, it was rough when I saw some of the results. It's kind of too bad, but I think we just have to keep voicing our outside the duopoly opinions. It's really important if anybody's listening, but let's hope. That's the whole point. Our vote is our power.
So outside of politics, how was your week?
It was really good. Thank you for asking. I've trained you so well. It's been almost a year of doing this show with you, and I love that you asked me first. Thank you. No, wait, I asked you first, but whatever. It's okay. I'm already on my second drink, so the good times are starting to roll. Yeah, take that voted showdown sticker. My older son came home from college, which was amazing. I've missed him so much. I picked him up from the airport, and in the car before we drove away, he tested. We'll test again tomorrow, but so far negative. And I know he thinks he's invincible. So, he's having to come back to our house and our rules, which is indoor masking all the time. I mean, not in our house, but any other place. So
COVID negative, but did you test for monkeypox?
He does have those weird welts. I'm assuming that we're okay, but we'll see, But yeah, so that's been fun, just getting to everybody's kind of like reacclimating to our positions within the family, which is always a fun dynamic, probably more fun for some of us than others, but I'm getting all my snuggles in, whether he likes it or not.
There you go.
So that's it.
Hold them tight. I don't have kids. I have nothing. All I have is a cat that I hate. So I'm the worst person to talk about any of this stuff, but that's so honorable that you're a mom. Cheers to the moms.
Cheers to the moms out there. That said, we are so excited to have our special guest today, Delilah Barrios, who is the Green Party candidate down in Texas for governor. Yay, Green Party. We cannot wait to ask her all the good questions. So let's
bring her on.
Hey.
Delilah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Somebody took my call, so thanks, Maggie, for doing that.
Yeah, cheers to Maggie. Thank you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so just busy, you know how it is.
We want to hear everything about you. And why don't you start with, you were supposed to be on call for, what is your day profession?
Oh yeah, it's called the CST, Certified Surgical Tech, and we work in the OR and
Okay.
help out during surgery. So, it's been my day job for like 18 years now. So I'm
Wow.
a veteran healthcare worker, and going through COVID and all of that has just been really a bit of an
Yeah.
awakening on a lot of levels, because
Yeah.
healthcare's kind of been this I don't know, like it helps you tell what else is going on in the world, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Healthcare's so integrated into our all day-to-day society. I think a lot of people are not really prepared for the level of, like, burnout and things like that's approaching, with like
The
every different.
clapping on the porches at 5 o'clock didn't do it for you.
Oh my
You
God, it was the
heroes in
jets.
your
We were
garbage
like,
bag.
thank God they sent jets, because now that's going to give us the masks that we need. Yeah,
Right.
I love that.
Well,
Thanks, Trump.
COVID is
I was so
over.
Yeah.
excited.
Didn't
I was
COVID
so mad.
ending
I
change
was
the
like, God.
world?
A lot of us were just frustrated. I'm sorry, what was that?
Well, I mean, now that COVID is over, how has that changed your life?
Right, because it's over.
It's over, right?
How is
We're
it
acting
in
like it's over. I
Yeah.
cannot
No.
imagine as a healthcare worker how insane it is to turn on like the liberal news media ignoring COVID.
And it's not even just that. I mean, obviously, I live in a red state. Of course, I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate that people call it that. But
Yeah.
if they were talking about Native people, that'd be one thing, but they're not talking about that. They're talking
Yeah,
about,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, they're talking about bigots that are politicians more often than not. So,
Yeah. It must be such a, both Pat and I are out here in California, which is, this progressive bastion, and like, it's all horrible. So it's easy for us to rail against the liberals and the Dem establishment, because there's not a lot of, of course, there are very Republican, right-leaning people here, but the people in power are at least nominally Democrat. So they're my enemy, because they're just mirroring what the far right is doing, honestly, on so many levels. But you're actually living with people who call themselves Republicans, and that puts you in a different position. So okay, let's start with, you are running to be governor of the great state of Texas. When did you make that decision, and how? Why?
I think it's been close to 2 years now. And, I will say personally, the 2020 election really kind of broke my heart. And I was like a Bernie victory captain, and I was,
Me too.
all excited. Yeah, okay, great. So, and then COVID hit, and it was just like, oh, we don't know what's going on. And my Democratic running mate, or the one that I'm running against, endorsed Biden right before our primary, and then took him to Whataburger. And I was like, you know what? That's just absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
I was just like, everybody that knows me and knows me well is like, I did not see that for you. I didn't see you making that decision, because I'm a bit disgusted with politics. And, I'd rather be doing direct action than knocking on
Right.
somebody's door. So personally, people were just, like, obviously it was something. And I think just one day it just clicked that there's really no representation without people don't, they're just chosen to lead. They don't ask for it. They get
Right.
in that position naturally. And it just happens because they're reliable at the very least. And so
Right.
I know that there's a lack of things like that in my state. And I really, I'm a mom too, and I have kids, and it's really important to me to fight for them to have a future. And it's
Yeah.
really important to me, and it has been for a really long time, to speak to them being denied that in a lot
Right.
of ways. So that's kind of how this happened.
So can I want to back. Oh yeah, go ahead, Pat.
Well, I just want to ask, are you getting any media attention in Texas? Are you getting blacked out as the Green candidate? I would assume that's just the playbook.
Absolutely. I'm
How
an
are
invisible
your
person.
do you have any interactions with the Democratic Party? Like, do they, you know, like
I
I'm
mean,
curious what that's like as a Green, like what kind of animosity you get from like, what about people you know in real world that are like Democrats, you know?
well, listen, I'll tell you, we did Medicare for All March last summer, and we do a lot of different things, but that's one of the more widely publicized things that we did. And I extended an olive branch to some of the local Dems that were running. I was like, you're free to come and speak and be a part of this if you want, if you know, and a couple of them showed up, you know. But as far as you know, being on the ballot, I'm like their enemy all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, everybody's talking trash about the Democratic Party, and it's like, you guys don't even talk truth about your own party.
Right.
And then you get mad at me for trying to hold you accountable, and like that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had people, especially like DSA, like we've reached out and tried to work on things together, and they don't want anything to do with us. And it's like,
really?
and why is that? Is it because we don't take corporate money? Is that the only reason why? I don't know, but at least I can say I tried because I did. And I'm not the one that made the decision to avoid. I mean, I've run into Sunrise out at events too, and they're just like, nah, we're not gonna.
They will only end up supporting or endorsing the Democratic nominee. Is that
more than likely? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, just in case anybody doesn't know, who is the Democratic nominee?
Mr. Robert Francis O'Rourke of El Paso.
And you're not impressed by his outspoken interrupting that town hall staged moment?
My bar is a lot higher than that, I can say.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, I work in healthcare, so like, if you don't know CPR, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna pay too much attention to you, you know what I'm saying? So
now, okay, so people are annoyed that you are running as a Green, your former Democratic friends, because they feel like you are splitting the vote.
I will tell you, none of my friends are upset that I'm running at all.
Or not.
They're like, I'm so excited you're running.
Yeah,
what ticket? And I'm like,
oh,
Green.
And they're like friends, like you're like the people you had maybe worked with in the Democratic Party before. That's the point of annoyance that they have right now, is they feel like you've departed, like you've left the good team.
You know what I really see is more of a defeat on their faces, because even though there are some decent people who choose to run as Democrats, if they're truly decent people, the party they get the same treatment that I do.
Right.
And that's a little bit heartbreaking for some people, but it's kind of predictable. I think, you know, they're the same party that sued to kick Greens off last cycle. So I mean,
democracy,
it's pretty standard.
Democracy.
Yes, that's very standard procedure for them. So I think a lot of people, idealists, often get a little brokenhearted after that kind of treatment. But you know,
so are there any prospects of you being in a debate with these people?
I mean, unless I run into them on the street, I don't think anybody's gonna.
You need to go stage an intervention at one of Beto's town halls.
Oh, I mean, I don't. That is part of the problem, is like, I am not one of those jump on the table type of people. Not that if like, say that's your job, I respect you. But like, I don't. The thing is, it's not about me. It's not about myself personally.
Right.
It's about the people I care about. It's about the people that trust me and have faith in me, and people that I ally myself with. I mean, that's really what it's about. So as far as media attention, I mean, I don't have the sort of money to buy consent like other parties do.
Right.
And
what about the National Green Party infrastructure? Is there any support from them for you, or how does that work?
Yeah, you know, I think the Green Party really takes decentralized to a whole other level. It really, every candidate you see, they are pretty much the ones, the driving factor for everything that's happening. Especially here in Texas, we're very sparse. We don't have a lot of people who even identify or choose to pick party preference. when they
Okay.
register to vote. So,
So are you saying that because then it's hard to do like van or whatever where you're doing canvassing and outreach? You don't have those sorts of lists. Is that what you mean? Because people haven't specifically said what party they are.
that is part of the problem. Yes.
Right.
You know, most of our pool would be non-registered, more than likely.
Right.
But then there's also just, I think, just a little bit of a lack of organization to some level. You know,
Right.
I the way I get lists are very like different. I'm just like, hey, can you give me your email so we can talk later?
Right. Yeah.
You know, we didn't have most of the other candidates are just, everybody just kind of does independently their own thing, and so there's a bit of a difference of opinions on should we be more centralized or less.
Right.
And it's just one of those mixed bags. So yeah,
Right.
I don't have a voter roll list that would help me exactly. I think a lot of diehard blue or red voters are going to care either way.
Right.
They're going to, you know, my angle is to get like the younger generations and the people who spend more time on TikTok and Instagram than,
So
you know,
your outreach
gonna
is
read a mailer.
mostly online, or are you also going door to door? Like how are you, what's the approach for you right now?
Okay, yeah. So just for a quick timeline, it was in the winter that I had to sign paperwork and send a check to the state of Texas to put my name on the ballot. And then in April is when they finalized our nominations. So I've been campaigning, but it wasn't final and done until April. So in that time, and I do keep active. I mean, there's hardly ever a direct action event I won't go to. I mean, I try.
Right.
So I went down to Corpus to do a protest Enbridge. So, you know, it was a really good event, actually. And yeah, they're trying to expand their terminals, and I'm against pipelines. I'm against the expansion and obscene amount of power and money involved in the fossil fuel industry. So hell yeah, I'm going to go to that. And so I took my kids and we went there and met with some people and talked a little bit. But you know, it's I can't afford to just like promote and advertise.
Right.
I actually have to just go in person and make those kind of introductions and things like that. So when we do things, it is highly focused on the community. It's not something like, oh, I don't know. This is a very unconventional approach, and I hope that right now is the right time for that to work because it's so needed. It's so needed. But yeah, we do. So like we went to Houston and we did an event. It was just a meet and greet, and we had people come, and we just, you know, it's very relaxed. You know, most of the things that we do. There's no like program for events. It's you know what I mean? Show up and talk to us.
Personal
and then we
casual,
filled up the fridge, the community fridge, and you know, just stuff like that, because I think people are pretty tired of people coming to their neighborhood and just saying like, you owe us your vote, and everything bad that happens to you is probably your fault, and you know, stuff like that. It's very it's disgusting, you know. So we try to take a different approach. So and I always have my family's involved in everything that I do. So if I go out of town, it's like, are you coming? Do the kids want to come or not? I mean, that's just that's how it is. So
So do you think Texas is ready to support Medicare for all? Like where are they? Where are the voters at when it comes to Medicare for all?
I would, you know, honestly, I think the last relative polls were like 70% of people. Even in Texas, I think it was close to like 80% of voters wanted Medicare for all. So people are past wanting it. They wanted it already. So, yeah, I think that's a definite win for most people.
Absolutely. And do you find yourself having to differentiate yourself mostly against Beto for the same voters, or do you feel like you're positioning yourself and having to sort of call out both of your opponents?
Yeah, I try to be fair in my my distaste for both parties, and the way I talk about him. But you know, you have to understand, Greg Abbott's already been there for he's been there for a minute, you know, and before he was our governor, he was attorney general. So he's been around for a long time. So he's had plenty of chances to be better. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are definitely frustrated with conservatives. I mean, we lost rights to abortion last year, and he orchestrated that. And he's the driving factor behind a lot of the bigotry and racism and sexism and problems ongoing throughout our country. So there's a lot of reasons that I have to speak out against him particularly. And I'm definitely not a fan of that man. I personally have been harmed by some of the policies that he's put forward. So we're, you know.
So, you know, I feel like the Democrats' big play, and it works so well, is to kind of help prop up monsters like that, so that anything they do that's like a slight bit better, they've positioned themselves against the greater evil. And then it's like, well, yeah, Beto doesn't really support Medicare for all, but it's better than that, and incrementalism. And hey, did you hear how he spoke out so well? And so, like, I think, again, I'm coming from blue California. My feeling is like, he's my enemy because he's taking up the space of the opposition that we need to these grotesque people like Abbott and, you know, all the Republicans. But I have the luxury of being in a place where my protest vote or withholding my vote will result in, you know, Eric Garcetti or Gavin Newsom or whoever, who I find repugnant and reprehensible. But, well, although right now, Pat just took off.
I'm distracting everyone with my stupid camera. So
we've been having StreamYard issues today with this app. We were lagging all day, and then trying to find if maybe we could like migrate to a different platform. But anyway, so sorry. But I think that must put you in a difficult position to be in a place where there is this absolute, you know, monstrosity in Greg Abbott. And obviously, like, everybody in legacy media thought that Beto was going to be the guy in 2020. I mean, he was.
I mean, didn't he have like an HBO thing? It's like,
it's insanity. He was on the
Newsweek cover.
Yeah,
he was
Vanity
meant for this.
Fair, and it was
Vanity
born to
Fair,
this.
excuse me.
And jumping on tables and on his skateboard and his punk rock past, and like they created this whole persona. And I mean, that is so dangerous also, but in a different way. I just feel like you have so much work cut out for you to call out both parts of this evil duopoly.
I'll do that on my free time.
There you go.
No, listen, you know, neocons and neoliberals do not have a place in now or in the future, because they've had plenty of time, plenty of chances, plenty of platforms to advocate and be true to their words, put their money where their mouths are. And what do we see? More of the same. So yeah, it's not hard to call that truth out. It's hard to be heard calling that truth out because it's not convenient. Right. And you know, people that are like, oh, and I know this is going to piss off people and I don't care, but he's just the perfect example of a mediocre white man falling upwards in society. Yeah. And do we really want more of that? I particularly don't. But that's me, and we can agree to disagree on that. But that's a perfect example of the level of failure people are willing to accept.
Yeah.
Well, we actually all agree with you on that, so you're good there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
100%. As a mediocre white guy, trust me.
I am just waiting to fail up. What is happening? Where's my next level? Yeah, it's so super frustrating. So, okay. So what is, like, what's your next step? How do we help get you more? Like, it's just doing sort of more media, trying to get out there, trying to get people to hear about you. I want to stage some crazy event for you where you get to like call out somebody and have the whole media, you know.
I think I'll
bungee jump for a Green New Deal. Like, if we need to do something like that, you know.
Yeah.
I think you need to stalk Beto and do a photo op at his photo op of a photo op, which was like, if you were
Kinda
behind
do.
him at the gun thing after he left and you'd come in.
I didn't need to
Just
do
saying.
that. Status Quo did that.
Yeah.
Status Quo was there, and that was great because
Yeah.
it wasn't until after their on the ground reporter was like, "Look at him dodging questions," that they were like, "All right, we'll talk to you."
I mean,
So-
that was so revealing, right?
I think so, and I honestly thought it was in poor taste from the beginning, but I just was raised differently. Like I was not. I'm
Yeah,
not.
but if you're doing something for media attention and you won't talk to the press afterwards, what was it? It was garbage. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have an issue with that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And often, listen, Green Party candidates are it's not like we're afraid of getting arrested or anything like that.
Right.
It's just at this time. I mean, when you really think about Texas has been in the news every month for what, 2 years? More than that. I mean, who knows? And it really is a way to kind of view people are like, well, you're just a statewide candidate. And it's like, yeah, but we're a big state. And not only that, but most of the policies that are in the wrong direction come from here.
That's
so
right. It sets the tone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It sets the tone for the whole right wing, I think. Absolutely.
Yeah. And these lack of substance characters speaking on things that they don't have to really experience is part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, as far as me, I do need as much support as I could possibly get.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not out here like, please give me all of your money. I honestly told people to donate to Uvalde instead. I was like, please just don't. Like they're who they need help. That whole community has been upended by this. And me personally and my family have just been going through these different stages of grief, just trying to come to terms with it and how wrong. This isn't the first time that there's been a shooting, and not the first time it's been aimed at people who look like us. And it's really hard. And so it's important to understand that all of us in this state are really not shielded from the sort of trauma and pain that can happen here. So just, if I'm being real, I just need people to stand up for themselves and say, I'm doing this because of this. I'm voting green because of this. Most of the emails I get from people are just so sweet and deep and truthful. They're just like, I don't know, nobody like you has ever been running for this position. I'm so glad. Or thank you for doing what you're doing. I get my share of hate mail, but for the most part, people are feeling inspired and they're feeling heard. And I think that's so powerful. So I want to expand on that. That's what's really important to me.
It is powerful. And as you said, it's for our future. So that's where the hope is, right? Like if we're not all doing whatever we can, and thank you, I commend you so much, because it's not easy to run for office, especially you already have a job as a mother and a job, in the operating table. Like you got plenty of things already on your plate. So it's really amazing that you're taking on another responsibility. So thank you. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
Well, thank you so much. I have a website. It's delilahfortexas.com. And, we are on social media. So Delilah for Texas on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. We could use some help on Redditors.
Too old for TikTok, but
it's a new thing I'm trying to learn. I'm a mother that's also a millennial, and I'm learning TikTok from my kids because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Mediocre white guys do not belong on Twitter, especially at my age. So
or TikTok.
I mean, TikTok. Excuse me. We belong on Twitter. That's my whole world.
We're on Twitter now.
I want to see Pat dancing on TikTok.
Nobody wants to see that.
I mean, I think there's probably people who do want to see that. You don't underestimate. Don't underestimate.
If it would help your campaign.
Idea what they're up to. No, none of us do. But yes, thank you so much for giving me your time and energy. I really appreciate the privilege of talking with you all.
We are following you and your candidacy and wishing you all good things. Please, everyone, go support Delilah for Texas and wishing you all the best luck. You are always welcome on here. And thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Y'all
take care.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers. That's so amazing. You know, it's such a great refutation because that horrible thing that people respond when anyone complains of, well, you know, either, well, then, you know, go live in Russia or then leave America, or, well, then why don't you run for something? And, you know, that takes so much energy and commitment. So I am just forever grateful to people like Delilah who really put their money where their mouth is. Yes, there's key.
100%. Yeah. Oh, you should run for office. Well, I'm running for office. Oh, you should not run for office. Do not run for office. Whatever you do, do not run for office.
Yeah. You're splitting the vote.
Splitting the vote.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's,
you should run for office only as a Democrat to save democracy, which is, must save democracy, which is apparently 2 parties, corporate owned, is democracy.
Right. And throwing Green Party off the ballot is democracy.
That's a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Can we drink some beers and have some shots?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, I was having fun with Delilah, but I am always ready for more. So I will now open up my new bottle. Ta-da! While you put the wheel up there, and let's get to it.
Are you going to pour it into that invisible magic cup you had earlier with the green screen?
Know, you guys are not going to believe it. I had no idea. I made my Crystal Light lemonade, and it's in what? Come on.
Super stony, dude. All right.
It's stripping me out.
Let's hash it out. Here, this will buy some time to pour a drink.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, it's going too long.
Oh, all right. Oh, there we are.
That was me.
Hey, everybody. We got
second beer.
Jill here. We got
Kiko.
What are you all drinking? We got Kiko and Ware and Arif
Beer.
and Proletarian. And yeah, Pat's drinking his beer and bourbon, right? And
Beer and bourbon. New Glory. Gummy worms. Just to give another shout out for future sponsorship.
Yeah, right. We're always hoping for that grift. The grift hasn't happened yet. We're almost a year in to doing this show together, and there is no grift happening. There is not even a Patreon or a coffee cup or a tip jar. What are we doing here, Pat?
I just realized today the number one person that calls me a grifter, who's a leftist, we all know who he's from. He's from Florida.
All right.
Has an actual one of those donate to me things on his own Twitter page.
No way.
And he does. Yeah. Yes. He has a donate to me thing on his Twitter page. We don't even have one. Just so you know. We should, but
nothing.
This shit is. I mean, you've seen my webcam dropping. It's like
I know we saw
this rig here.
All your
you almost saw my apartment, which I'd have to apologize for probably because it's pretty socialist. So I guess maybe I'd get some cred from it.
Yeah, after your fancy European vacation. Okay, what do we have on our wheel this week? I was joking.
Bring that
up. Of course, I had to bring it up. I like to say it before anybody else can bring it up. Not that anybody did, but I just had to try to be funny. Okay, we got squad goals, offensive news, pride virtue signal, the economy stupid, and the big lie. And 5 shots. Let's spin the wheel.
5 shots. Let's get those shots.
Yeah, baby.
Come on, baby. I'm ready.
All right. Pride Month, everybody. It's Pride Month. We got a lot to say for Pride Month. I feel like let's start with the good doctor and see what she has to say about Pride Month and how we should all be celebrating.
First Lady Nancy Reagan served the American people with grace. She understood that the role of First Lady came with inherent pitfalls and scrutiny. Yet she found the humanity in it all. She knew the potential of this role. She traveled the country listening to Americans' stories and just brought them home to her husband.
Nancy Reagan, the great ally.
The great
Of
LGBTQ plus ally.
Just a reminder, she wouldn't even help her close friend, Rock Hudson. She wouldn't mention the word gay. I think 25,000 people had died of AIDS before they even for a second talked about it. I think 2 years had gone by. But on the very first day of Pride Month, Biden comes out with the stamp.
The brand new postage stamp. And look, this is not, okay, so you could call this an unforced error if you want, like, oh, they blew it. But this is not untested. I mean, Hillary Clinton got all kinds of this shit during Pride Month herself for the exact same thing. This is a known mistake. Like, this is I hate to say they want to lose, but what the fuck? This is Pride Month, and she doesn't have to speak at this. So DeJoy is the one who passed the stamp things. It's not like this whole thing was Biden's plan is to make a Nancy Reagan stamp. The Nancy Reagan stamp was always in the works,
right?
But you don't have to have the
announce
the first
it.
lady speaking at it. You put it away. You ignore it. You let it happen.
You don't announce
in the
it like it was the first night of Pride. And to announce it as she was some great, I mean, what is it with the Democrats like supplicating to the ghost of Ronald Reagan?
They just want to normalize it. Like,
yeah,
it's just normalizing. It's censoring the right so that they don't have to be as left. That's it.
Yeah.
They always have to keep it this facade of like catering to the right, and we're not so far off of the Republicans.
We're going for those Romney Republicans.
If you said you were far away from the Republicans, you would win elections. And if you acted that way, you would win elections. But instead, you keep acting like, well, we're not that different.
Yeah. But you know who you'd lose? Your big money donors. That's the whole deal. So, of course, there were a million other examples of the hypocrisy of Pride Month. The corporations who, like CVS and 25 corporations marking Pride donated over $10 million to anti-LGBTQ plus politicians. I mean, then there was, this is one of my favorites, the Marines, proud to serve with their rainbow colored bullets.
The literal meme of the bombs being dropped with the rainbow.
I mean, painting. Again, it's like unforced error. Like they're trying. This one, I'm not going to give up on these or let up on the Azov battalion. This was interesting in LGBTQ Nation. Is Ukraine's Azov regiment a friend or foe to the LGBTQ community? I don't know. Are Nazis your friend or foe? Does it really matter one way? Why do you? Yeah.
Are there some good Nazis that support LGBTQ plus? No, no, there are none. There are none. We don't have that. That article doesn't need to exist.
I mean, yeah. I did think that this was interesting and kind of gross that the Tampa Bay Rays refused to wear the Gay Pride logo on their uniforms this weekend. Their religious beliefs wouldn't allow it. I mean,
okay.
So, tell me what you think. Yeah.
Well, no, I know a little bit about it. From what I understand, the Tampa Bay organization, and this is what's unfortunate, they decided to do this on their own. So the organization is now getting negative press because there were 6 players who decided to pull the patches, that the LGBTQ plus patches, but the organization actually promoted this positive event. So 6 people, but I mean, it's sort of indicative of society. Right. You've got these, but all the attention goes to them. I mean, and they should get negative press for it, but the Tampa Bay team organization on their own probably shouldn't, because they put this out there. So
why didn't they just let the people who wanted to wear it and the people who don't? I mean, like, what difference does it make? I mean, obviously I think it's reprehensible not to support those issues, but like why does everybody have to do the same thing? That, I guess, is that being part of a team? That they all have to wear their fucking, what is it when it's, military month, their camouflage.
Yeah. Or, I mean, the pink for breast careness, but
Right.
breast caressing month, breast.
Oh my God. Don't bring me down with your shit. You and Dave Weigel are going to get canceled.
Dave Weigel, that guy. Oh my God. Well, let's get to him. But
yeah. All right. Anyway, crazy hypocrisy. And I'm not even a Star Trek person. I'm not really a science fiction person, but I saw this meme, and for me, it was like, it's just as simple as this. Curzon, my beloved old friend. I'm going to say it wrong. Jadzia now. Jadzia, my beloved old friend. Jadzia. And it's like, that's really all it is. Leave people the F alone. People are people.
Yeah.
And just
nope. Like, literally, somebody might be asking, but most people aren't asking for you to understand everything about somebody who's different than you, but just accept it. It doesn't affect your fucking life. Just shut up if you hate trans people or you don't understand it and it's weird. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't affect your kids.
Yeah.
Here's to drinking. Cheers.
Here's to drinking. Cheers. Let's spin.
All right.
We said all we had to say.
Yeah, baby.
Let's say shot.
Yes.
There we go.
I'm not used to that new God music.
I have found God
in the bottom of my glass.
He's right here.
I have to say, where I do think that is a serious article. I found it, but now it does seem like, I mean, it's so hard to tell anymore what's the onion and what's real life. But yeah, I think that was unfortunately real. Part of the whitewashing of Nazis. Cheers.
Oof.
Is it possible that my Tito's vodka is stronger than my Sky vodka? Because
does it taste stronger?
That burned my tongue.
I think they're probably all around 80 proof, but I hate vodka.
So.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, right to Dave Weigel.
There we go. Dave Weigel. Here we go, baby. Weigel.
I put no respect on his name.
Yeah, I mean, I only know because go ahead.
Well, no, we're going to be defending him somewhat. I'm defending.
I am going to defend.
I'm not defending.
I mean, I'm not defending the joke. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there was an incredibly offensive retweet and very quick subsequent deleting of the retweet post. It was, well, somewhere in here. It was a joke. Haha. Every girl is bi.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
It
should definitely be you, Pat. No. It's funnier when you read it.
Okay. The cowboy hat. I don't know who this guy is. Every girl is bi. You just have to figure out if it's polar or sexual.
That joke kills it in the Berkshires or Catskills or wherever the hell, the Borscht Belt. I just made it all. I'm Jewish, but I just made it all like anti-Jewish comedian joke. I just meant like an old-time humor kind of deal. Anyway, as you can see, Dave Weigel retweeted that, and then one of his co-workers tells the manager on him, fantastic to work at a news outlet where retweets like this are allowed. So we are now telling on each other about retweets of a dumb joke, which, yes, I understand why some people might think it's offensive, but good grief, there's a lot of offensive stuff going on in this world.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, so the joke is allegedly, I mean, it is misogynist because you're making a joke about every woman is either bisexual, which is a common myth, and then, or bipolar. There's a lot of bipolar people out there.
Why not both?
Why not both? But regardless, first off, he didn't initiate the joke. He just retweeted it, laughed at it. Jokes are supposed to be, something you can laugh at. But why does this get him?
Consequently, he's been suspended for a month from the Washington Post, right? A month of suspension for retweeting and then unretweeting a dumb joke.
which is the point. I mean, I think if you were to ask people that are bipolar and women in general, and you know, people how they feel about this joke being offensive, like, it's borderline offensive. I'm not saying it isn't. If you're offended by it, I understand it. But like, what's the wiggle room on making a joke about this kind of issue? Like, can we not discuss this? Is this like so taboo that somebody couldn't like a joke about it? Like,
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Liking the joke doesn't mean you think all those women, you don't really think that all women are bipolar or bisexual. So
it's just a funny play on words. No, I'm kidding. I don't even know. It's a dumb joke. Who cares? My feeling really is there are so many more offensive people who get to go on legacy media and cable news every day and promote like the most ghoulish policies that are killing millions of people, and they still have jobs. Yeah. That's my feeling. Like, why that one retweet gets this guy who, of course, is like, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so I'm thinking about why did he get punished for this? Why is because the Washington Post, of course, is I mean, they famously posted like 40 hate articles against Bernie in like 2 days.
Just for accuracy's sake, I think it was 16 in 48 hours, but still, like, that's a lot of
7,000 articles in 2 hours. But so so the Washington Post, they leverage identity politics. That's everything. They weaponize it to use it against people. And so I think this crossed the line for them so extremely, because here he is, one of the biggest proponents of the Washington Post of all the anti-Bernie stuff, the fake weaponized identity politics, and he's undercutting his own message, you know, is what I think.
Also, he is one of the more sympathetic to the progressive left at that paper of the people who are there. Well, I think I think he's considered that in that world, which is staunchly anti-Bernie. He's at least like, so I'm sure he already has a target on his back. You don't think so?
No, I think he's 100% in line with what they want.
I think that, but I think he purports to be a little bit more left and sympathetic.
Oh, yeah, that's his
why
fake role in the paper. Right.
Yeah,
I'll agree with that.
So it's fun to take down another sexist Bernie bro or something. But, you know, again, like, so there were some other offensive things that happened this week that kind of riled me up a little more. One was this crazy blue check lib take that we should send our assault rifles over to Ukraine because now is the time for all patriotic Americans who own assault weapons to donate them to Ukrainian soldiers. Brilliant idea, combined with March for Our Lives. Like, what is the ideology of a person who writes that insanity? And we know already Europe is really, you know, many people in Europe are now speaking out that there are billions of dollars of guns. US weapons that are going, and they're not being traced. They're going into the hands of right-wing extremists because they're putting anybody who can fight in Ukraine out to fight. These weapons they're letting people out of jail. They have many far-right contingents of the army, and we're flooding them with weapons whenever this war is over. And even now, they're going to be sold on the black market. They're going to be used against civilian populations once this is over. And to think that just shows, again, the lack of standalone ideology that so many people have, where it's like it's always just reactive against the right wing in this country. It's always just playing for the blue team.
And it's so black and white. It's like, our team is good, so Ukraine, we've decided, is good, so we must help Ukraine.
Right.
And I'm not saying, I don't disagree that Ukraine, don't get me wrong, they have the Nazis, they have a lot of problems, but I don't knock them for defending themselves.
Right.
But you have to look at these things deeper than just, okay, so let's send them weapons. So let's just give them nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Let's just whatever. So ultimately, all the weapons we send to Ukraine are helping them it's helping them in the ground war, right? So if they lose the ground war, what happens is they get unarmed bombs launched from Russia. So unguided missiles just get lobbed over to them. And that just kills. I mean, ultimately, that's how this war ends. This war ends with Ukraine flattened.
Decimation. Yeah, absolutely. So,
but
that's
the point
offensive.
you were making is that's offensive. But the point you were making is that those weapons ultimately are going to get sold in the black market to Europe. Places in Europe that don't have gun problems right now at the level they're about to, because we're arming all the people that are going to sell the guns to all these countries.
We're going to export our gun problem.
So
that was offensive. I find this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What did you just do? I was just
backing this up. George Takei is like, hey, crazy thought. Send those 20 million AR-15s over to arm Ukrainians.
I mean, it's just insanity. And he's like a DNC operative, right? Like he's a paid blue check guy. So if he's putting that out there, I mean, it just shows again, like this whole gun control issue that Democrats only use to fundraise off of and never actually attack substantively. Is not attached to any deep-rooted ideology. So I find that offensive. I find the fact that we dropped $10 billion in COVID relief funds from our aid package to pass through Congress. I find that offensive. Like, I mean, I find a lot of things way more offensive and damaging and violent than that stupid joke. But that's just me.
I'm just going to stop it there because we only have 10 minutes left of the show.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe a little longer, but I have a heart out because of the Warriors. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Basketball guy.
All right, let's spin the wheel. Is that what we're doing? Let's spin it.
Let's spin the wheel. To hell with it.
Yeah, baby.
Passing all those shots. That was cruel.
That's very cruel. That's very cruel. It feels like that God tone knows that I'm trying to drink a little less today.
I feel like there's some symbolism of me removing squad goals because I don't know what the squad goals are
anymore. Yeah. All right. Well, let's watch this clip, which is what really kind of incensed me this week. Another offensive thing. Let's watch it.
It's just really wild to be a person that works in a corrupt institution, which is what Congress is. And to try and be a normal person surrounded by so much decay and moral emptiness that frankly transcends party is very difficult. I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning last night. I could not sleep thinking about those babies.
So, what does that do? That is just so much virtue signaling with no action. She never calls out anybody by name. Who in each party. And when it's come down to any vote that could ever leverage the sliver of power that she and the squad have, they don't use it. So, that's just like she wants credit for feeling sad, but then does nothing with the power that was given to her by people who are desperate for someone in Congress to fight for her. And it's starting to kind of make me ill.
I'm in the same boat. Like I wouldn't say I believed in her for, my issue with her was strategy, but now we're past that. Like your strategies, if you're the squad or AOC, have failed miserably. They have failed. Your strategy was to try, when you got crap for with not backing force the vote, my equipment is falling apart here. This is why we need a fundraiser. For our equipment.
We need a tip jar.
Sorry. But your strategy, you didn't try to force a vote to get Pelosi out, which I like. That's one vote. I get it, but your rationale for that was you would get speakership positions. You would
Committee
you
positions.
would say that's a leverage for the $15 minimum wage. and then you didn't get speakership positions. You didn't
Yeah.
use it to fight for minimum $15 minimum wage.
Right.
So you failed at that.
Yeah.
So the least you can do now, if you're saying the corruption is in both parties, bless you,
Yeah.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Yeah.
The least you could do is call out the people in your party directly, like
That's right.
bring the ruckus, like say, this person is not voting for this. They're corrupt. They're corrupt. Nancy Pelosi's corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. When she started in office, her first thing she did was point out the orientation meeting for new freshmen had all these corporate donors there, and they're pushing a lot of bullshit on them. After that, you know, she's supporting unions. She'll show up at strikes. I get that. That's good stuff. But you need to do more. You need to point out what's wrong with the party, not say Joe Biden's doing a fucking hell of a job.
Yeah. Yeah. Most progressive ever. Yeah. And, you know, I still don't really understand this thing when, okay, so they don't support. I mean, one of the most disgusting moments was when they didn't come out to endorse Nina Turner. And then there's this thing that they're threatened, which again, like, was it a threat of violence against you or your family? Because otherwise, I don't understand what kind of threat prevents you from doing what you are there to do, which is cast the votes and speak out in favor of the policies you were elected to office to fight for. So, and then this thing of like, well, we want to get reelected. Great. But you were elected because you were full-throatedly endorsing these policies that are widely popular. If you continue to advocate for them, even if they don't happen, people seeing you work your ass off and fight for them and to speak out against the corruption in your own party and the other party, great. That's only going to bolster your support. Why would people stop? Like, it's even, you know, that I don't understand that. Well, I need to get reelected. Good. Do the same thing that you said you were going to do to get elected in the first place.
It's like their strategy is to be non-confrontational and non-offensive to normie Democrats. So we'll just sweep in 10 more of us and then we'll get stuff done. But the problem with that is if you sweep in more people because you were unoffensive, a lot of those people are going to be full of shit. And we don't have an example of people that aren't full of shit. Like none of you are fighting for stuff to make me get off my ass to fucking campaign for you. Like all of us on the left that are in media, I don't want to have politicians on anymore.
Yeah.
Like, cause they have hurt the progressive movement. They have not helped it. The only thing they have helped is the people that lobby for ideas so now they've enabled anyone to come out and say, I support those things.
Yeah.
I'm with, you know,
I mean, AOC. Chantel Brown just registered with the, you know, Progressive Caucus like 3 days or 3 weeks, whatever, before.
Caucus is such
bullshit. They've
like,
completely defanged any left movement within Congress that anybody thought might have traction. And that is, I mean, it's so damaging. And yeah. All right.
Let's spin. I'm going to postpone watching the early.
Oh, you got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes.
No, we're going to keep going a little bit because we got a lot of shots to take. Oh, I should add it to the script. Let's go. All right, there's one. Now we're talking.
There you go. All right. All right. Here we go. The Warriors need you good and liquored up. Is that what you're saying?
They do. Oh, cheers. The shot. Cheers. I did do the shot. Cheers. All right. We're going to crank through the shots.
Baby.
Oh, we got a topic. This will be our last topic.
We got a topic.
How are we not touched? God damn it. I feel like the economy is like.
I mean, it's all the big lie.
We'll save it for next. We have a lot on the economy. But,
yeah, we really do. But all right. So the big lie that Trump won and the January 6th insurrection seems to be the real thrust of what Dems are going to be running on and the damage to democracy. And it just feels like I don't know. I don't think that tracks well for people who can't put food on their table or get health care or, like, how is that going to help win an election? What's your thought?
Well, and the messaging on top of this. So the big lie, I mean, obviously is about the Republicans, that
Russiagate.
Biden didn't actually win the election.
I thought it was that Putin put Trump in power. No, different big lie.
Hillary won. Can we just end it on that? Hillary really won.
The former guy.
So, I mean, in my opinion, here's the big lie. The big lie is that Biden can't do anything on anything. We're not just talking about gun control, but Biden recently said gun control is up to Congress. I can't dictate this stuff. So he can't do anything about gun control. He can literally do the executive order on gun control.
100%.
But
can't do anything about the economy or baby formula.
If you want to take away his executive powers and this stuff and say he doesn't have the executive authority and it's going to be overruled by the Supreme Court, fine. But that doesn't happen overnight. That buys some time, right? Yeah. That's one part of it. But the other part is his bully pulpit. The bully pulpit is he doesn't have the power to do this stuff. That's right. His message to the public is, I don't have the power to do any of this stuff. We can't do any of this stuff.
Which is a lie. I mean, we know, first of all, when Trump gets back in power or DeSantis or whoever the hell is going to be there in 2024, that person is going to rule the world and get everything done with however many people he has in Congress, because Republicans do whatever they want for their base. And by the way, Democrats are doing everything they want. It's just they're not doing it for their base. They're doing it for their donors. We really need to know that. But
well, their argument is so flawed because Trump was president and we had Democrats control the House, right? So literally nothing that happened under Trump is something we should worry. He shouldn't have been able to do anything.
Yep.
Because we had we had one of the levers of power. So like to now say he has no power all the time. And Congress
constantly propping up the people who are the ones who stand in his way, right? Whether it's Mitch McConnell, whether it's Josh Schrader or Joe Manchin, like those people, he could be using his bully pulpit to make their lives miserable. And no, it might not always work, but at least we would see him fighting. Again, bring the ruckus. Like people just want to see you fighting for them. And I think when about 6 months ago, there was a price gouging on meat. And Biden said something about it at one press conference. I mean, he barely said anything, but he talked about price gouging, and right away prices went down, and then he was silent again, and now they've gone back up. But, even just the bully pulpit of the most powerful person in the world, that can have an enormous effect, let alone all the executive actions he could take.
Yeah. So if their argument is, and this is their argument, that we can't, we need more Democrats because we just need some more Democrats because we got Manchin and Sinema, right? So he undercuts his own argument by all these Democrats pushing for people like Caruso who are pro NRA, anti-abortion.
Oh my God.
Say Pelosi's literally endorsed anti-abortion.
Cuellar, Henry Cuellar. It's I don't know who is still falling for the lies. I think right now the biggest problem is not so much that people think Biden couldn't do something, but that the alternative, the right-wing person, is always just a smidge worse. And that's the thing that we really need to. That's the problem. That's what we really need to figure out. What's the solution?
Well, that's where we're at. They know that people aren't buying this. I mean, it gives them enough cover that enough people aren't paying attention enough and sort of buy into the narratives on CNN and MSNBC. Yeah. So it buys them some cover, but it doesn't win you elections. It just buys you cover to like not have the whole Democratic base revolt on you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't win elections is the point. Doing things wins elections.
That's right. Yeah. So that said,
should we end on something good?
Yeah. Let's. Oh, yes. Okay. So first of all, I just do think we all need to always bring the ruckus and call out the people. I mean, if you are not, that's something that Shama Sawant, the socialist city council member in
Washington.
Seattle, whom I adore, always talks about is you have got to call, like, nothing good is going to happen for the working class by appeasing the people who have been withholding everything from them for decades. You have to call them out, and it is confrontational. It doesn't mean you have to, torch their houses, although I think that's going to come if we keep not feeding our people. Yeah. But you have to call them out, and it is confrontational, and you have to fight for the things that your constituents and this whole country need. So that we have to continue doing. And yes, let's look at something good, Pat.
But you have to call them out by name. You have to say this
yeah.
person right here is not, they're corrupt, or this person takes
taking
oil
money
money.
from exactly.
That's why they're corrupt. They're voting this way on this issue because of this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get cut. Like AOC comes out and says, so many people, both parties have all this corruption. Yeah, everybody knows that. Like the public knows that. The public already knows that. Like you did not name somebody within your party.
Yeah.
And if you're not naming them, you're working with them.
Exactly. Mama Bear. Show me something good, Pat. It's my favorite study of the week.
Here we go.
Oh, okay. That's good. This is good. This is better.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, so this happened. No, well, I mean, this is better than the one I was going to show. But this happens all the time, right? That when the workers organize and the vote goes their way and they vote to unionize, the threat is that we're going to close Amazon. We're going to close this Starbucks. If you unionize, we're just going to, close up shop and leave. Well, this place called White Electric Coffee in Rhode Island threatened that they were going to close it down. Their workers unionized. The owner said, great, I'm going to sell the cafe. And the workers bought the cafe. So it's now a worker-owned co-op, which is awesome. That is exciting.
Amen. And you know what? Unionizing and worker co-ops and, that's
where the power is. Yeah.
Yeah. Renters, I don't know. Unions, that's the wrong word, but
yeah, I mean, it's basically, it's a union coming together, working together.
Our power. Together we have power to push back on anything, like locally, especially, but unions are spreading everywhere. If you have a chance, take your apartment complex, your work, whatever, and try to band together to have some power to push back.
That's
this week, just today, I don't know. Trader Joe's, a place. I didn't even see that, but Trader Joe's, a place historically known as a good workplace that sort of had a co-op vibe from the jump.
Yeah. They've really been exposed recently.
In some places, there's some sourness there, and they're unionizing. So support them. Kudos to that.
Yeah.
And everywhere. But okay, the last good thing we can all agree on.
This we can all. Oh yeah.
Lila,
am I sure? Okay,
you have the
honors. I'm going to find it. Here we go. I found this, and this made me super happy. Drinking heavily may be the key to staying happy and healthy in later life. Healthier and happier in later years. Heavy drinkers. We can all cheers to that.
All right. So, caveat to this: you kids should not be drinking. You should probably be smoking marijuana. It's better for you. I don't smoke anymore, but it's better for you. But not if you're in high school. Like, wait till you're like 21, and then
you're kind of a buzzkill at this point, Pat.
Wait till you're fully grown. All right, cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys all next week. Keep punching up. Cheers.
Kudos. It's going to take me a minute to find the button, so I'm just going to have a sip. Here's the outro. Cheers, guys.